Hey, and welcome, gurus, to this lesson, Application Security Groups. I'm Chase, one of your Azure training architects here at A Cloud Guru, a Pluralsight company. And in this video lesson, we're going to start off by describing what application security groups are. And once we understand what they are, we're then going to talk about associating application security groups to resources and how we can use them to logically group those resources to give our NSG security rules some intelligence as to the application structure that we have inside of our networks. And then we're going to get into planning implementations of application security groups, and we'll round out this lesson with some key takeaways. So, without further ado, let's get started. To get started, I think it's best if we just try to wrap our minds around understanding application security groups as something that provides extensibility and the functionality of our network security groups security rules. What we're really doing with our application security groups here is we're just providing additional functionality to those NSG security rules to allow us to be able to more intelligently build out those security rules and let them better understand what's going on inside of our network. Say, for example, we have that NSG1 at the subnet boundary. Well, we can use application security groups to logically group our resources so that when we're creating security rules, we can specify those security rules in such a way that we're using a source of an application security group or a destination of an application security group so that our security rules are intelligent and have a way of kind of understanding the tiers of our solution. For example, we might have a source of a web application security group, which represents a logical grouping of all of our web server virtual machines. And then for the destination, we might have a database application security group, which represents a logical grouping of all of our database VMs. And we can specify these application security groups in our security rules so that our security rules have a way of understanding exactly what resources we're referring to without having to specify manually the private IP addresses. And this provides that intelligence to our security rules and gives it that application structure awareness. Now, to dive deeper into understanding the association with application security groups and resources, let's first talk about what we're associating with when we're associating those ASGs. With application security groups, again, commonly referred to as ASGs, when we're associating them, we're really associating them at the NIC level. So the network interface cards for our virtual machines, and this allows us to logically group these resources together when we're referring to them and specifying those ASGs in our NSG security rules. And this gives that intelligence to our security rules. And these security rules are evaluated like all other security rules. What we're really just giving is the ability to have some sort of intelligence and application structure awareness as to the different tiers of our solution inside of our virtual network when we're specifying these security rules. Some of these application security groups that we'll see may be based off of application structures like the web layer, a logic layer, or a database layer. And it's so that we can make sure that these security rules are impacting specifically just the resources that we intend for them to impact. And this also keeps us from having to create multiple network security groups for each network interface, making for a more scalable solution whenever we're setting up our network security for resources in our virtual network. So now that we have an understanding of what our application security groups are, the problem that they solve, and how they provide a logical grouping for resources at the NIC level, let's actually take a look at what using ASGs and NSG security rules looks like. Here we have our security rules table. We have our inbound rules and outbound rules, as we're familiar with. And in our inbound rules, we see we have a user-defined rule here. This security rule is allowing SSH inbound from some cloud service, and we see it's got a priority of 120, and its source is a public IP address. And its destination is an application security group, the Cake ASG1, for ports 22, and it is allowing traffic in to all of those resources that are logically grouped by that application security group. Think of it, again, as a tag for those resources, and it's saying, hey, allow port 22 from this public IP address. And in the outbound rules, we see a similar thing where we're denying internet outbound from a particular set of resources that is specified by an application security group. Again, it's important to remember that the application security groups can be referred to as either the source or destination of a security rule, whether that's inbound or outbound. It doesn't actually matter. It can be specified in either category when we're creating those security rules. So now that we understand what it looks like inside of a actual NSG in security rules, we're going to move into the key takeaways here of this lesson to round us out. Some of the things that we need to understand about application security groups, if we take away anything, is that ASGs are designed to extend the functionality of our NSG security rules. And they're doing this by providing intelligence by logically grouping resources under an application security group, which acts like a tag for those resources so that we can refer to them inside of our security rules. And it's in these security rules that our ASGs can be an endpoint in either the source or the destination of that security rule. And again, this is all for the purpose of providing these security rules with semi-awareness of things like application structure so that we can provide intelligence and scalability whenever we're creating our security rules. And this keeps us from having to create multiple network security groups and having a much tougher time when we're administering our network traffic for our virtual network. Now, the last important thing we need to remember is that ASGs are associated with the NICs. So specifically, it allows us to group those resources based off of their network interface. All right, gurus. That's everything for now on application security groups. Thanks for joining me in this lesson, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson where we're going to go through the process of actually implementing application security groups in the Azure Cloud Sandbox. So I'll see you in the next lesson.